Hey everyone, Pratiti Pathak here. Welcome to Unpacking Brain Drama, where we talk about real life experiences, the challenges, and the obstacles. Sometimes we use them to block ourselves, sometimes we use them to grow and evolve. Here's what I want to say: obstacles are not the things blocking our path, obstacles are the path. So, in other words, we have to grow through what we go through. So, join me as we have some amazing conversations with some amazing guests. We are here to unpack some brain drama. Today is going to be awesome because I am going to be talking about something that you guys already know. I know you know this, but I'm going to say it again. I am going to be talking a little bit today about making decisions and the power of questions. But first, I want to address something because this is going to be a thing for us today. I've got so much energy. As normal, I bring the energy, people. Anytime I'm around any of you guys, if you know me, you know that I pretty much talk super fast. Let me try to move this over a little bit. I talk super fast. I have lots of energy, and it's something that I actually really love about myself. There's something that people say to me all the time, and one of those things is that they love my energy, and I guess they love how high my energy is. And it got me thinking about that. It was just recently where I went into a store, and this happens all the time. I go into a store and right away I'm chatting. I'm clearly not shy. I talk about everything. And as I was walking out, she's just like, "It was really great meeting you. I love your energy." And I thought about that, and it made me think, like, what is it about my energy? Obviously, it's super high. I talk fast. And what is the difference between my energy and somebody else's energy, right? I think so many times it all comes down to, I guess, what we describe it as anyway, right? So I think about this, like, why do I have such high energy versus somebody else maybe? And where does it come from, right? How do we get it? What does it even mean? How do we describe it? And it's so perfect because it just fits right in alignment with, if some of you know, I am getting ready for my retreat, my wellness retreat. It is exclusively for women. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be in Riviera Maya, Mexico. It's coming up at the end of April. And what we are going to be doing during this retreat is we are going to be unlayering, like peeling away the layers of life that come onto us, covering up the true, beautiful, vibrant, amazing, feminine, divine energy essence of us, right? That gets layered and layered on top of from all of the different things that go on in the world around us in life, right? Us as mothers, wives, family members, business owners, whatever, all the things that you're doing in the world just pile up on top of us, and we never get out from under it sometimes, is how it seems. So when I think about the retreat, one of these beautiful ways that we uncover everything is through the power of questions and how we question ourselves and find out things deep inside of us through those questions. And one of the questions that I was just like, oh, this is right in alignment. One of the questions at this retreat, so if you are one of the women that are coming on this retreat with me, by the way, I'm only offering it to 10 women. 5 rooms is what I had, 2 people in each room, and there's only 2 rooms left. So if you're interested, don't wait. I know some of you are thinking about it. Don't wait, because they will get filled up, and then you'll have to wait until like October, November is the next retreat. So one of the questions during this retreat is, who are you? Or how do you describe yourself energetically? And I think that is such an amazing question. And it is also, I'm assuming that it's going to be a little confusing as well, because I don't think that we really describe ourselves in that way, or think of who we are in that way. And I only do it for me because it's said to me so often, I love your energy. I love your energy. And so if you had to describe your energy, so if you are one of the women that are coming, here's a little cheat sheet. Here's some freebie answers that you might think about when you're doing this exercise for yourself. But what are some of those words that might describe your energy? For me, it's like I'm high spirited, right? I'm lively, I'm animated, as you all know. I'm bubbly, I'm sparkly, I'm dynamic. I think I have a dynamic personality. I am somebody who, I guess I just vibrate at a high energy frequency, right? That's how I would think about it. And then when I think about that, it makes me think, what makes us vibrate at a higher level than at a lower level? What does that even mean, right? So when I think about that, what it brings me to is what actually makes us higher energy, vibrate at a higher level. I would have to think it's thinking positive thoughts, right? Being positive versus being negative. So when we're thinking about positivity versus negativity, there are different things in life that create positive emotions in us, positive thoughts. There are things that bring negative thoughts and negative emotions to us. And when I think about that, it is something that is so obvious, but yet we don't think it's that obvious, is it's everywhere around us, right? The positivity and the negativity comes from all different things in our lives. Like if you think about it, if you just started a new job, that's probably going to have you feeling super energized, right? Because you're excited, you're learning new things, you're happy that you've gotten hired by somebody and you're going to be getting some income, some money's going to start flowing in. That's going to probably create some positive thoughts and emotions that's going to increase your energy level. And just full disclosure, before we go any further, people, I normally drink 2 of these that I make for myself every day. Today, I only made 1. And I did that intentionally and on purpose. It was planned because I knew I was going to an event this morning. So on my way home, I had decided to get their dark roast at the Starbucks with a shot of espresso. So you guys are in for it today. So super high energy today. That's not normally where my energy level comes from. My energy level comes from my morning routine. I'll get into that in a minute, but let's think about the things that go on in our day. Job, starting a new job would increase our energy level. Maybe losing a job, losing a business, losing a client, losing something when it comes to income or our job would probably decrease our energy level, right? It will have us maybe feeling more lethargic or negative, right? If you get into a new relationship, that will increase it. If you're healthy, that will be increased energy level. If your kids are doing well, you're starting something new, you're getting married. These are all different things that would increase our energy level. Now, if you took any one of those things and now turned it into the opposite side of it, right? Maybe you're losing a relationship, maybe you're going through a divorce or a breakup. It could be in your intimate relationship. It could be with a family member. It could be with a colleague, a business. Again, it could be a client relationship. Any relationship that maybe is ending or struggling in some way could decrease our energy because we may be having some negative thoughts around it. So when we're vibrating at a high level and we have higher energy through positive experiences, positive thoughts, positive feelings, that's going to create positive energy, higher energy level, higher frequency vibration. And that is going to make us feel energized, bubbly, dynamic, animated. It's going to make us feel confident, right? And if we have negative things going on that are decreasing our energy level, it's probably going to have us feeling sad, unhappy, depressed, maybe feeling stressed out, maybe getting some anxiety in there. Maybe it even is for you as far as becoming panicked for you. And these things all depend on what it is, right? Maybe certain things that go on in your job isn't enough for panic to happen, but losing a business and a significant amount of money might be. Maybe your kid's not listening or not doing their homework might not be, but maybe if you're like me, maybe losing a child would take you into anxiety, stress, depression. So depending on the thing that's going on for you will depend on where you are in that level of energy. Okay. Now, basically, when I think about all of that, it really comes down to why do we think about something in a positive or a negative way, right? How does that thought process happen? So we could easily think, well, if you lose your job, most people are going to think that that's not a good thing. But what if that's an amazing thing? Because now it opens you up for the opportunity that you never even considered being able to have, which is maybe starting your own business versus just losing employment. So depending on how we think about something can really decide and determine whether it's a good thought or a negative thought, or if it's a positive experience or a negative experience, right? Sometimes it's both. Maybe it's negative for a hot minute, and then all of a sudden this new idea happens, and now it's a really amazing thing. So the key word there was it comes down to decisions. The power of deciding how you want to think about something, how you want to perceive something, how you want to receive the information that's coming into your life, right? Whether it's your boss telling you, hey, this is not working, we're going to have to let you go. Or a relationship ending, maybe it's the best thing that ever happened. Now it's going to open you up to loving on yourself. Maybe the relationship wasn't good for you, and now it is opening you up to the rest of the universe to allow a better love into your life. So depending on how we decide to think about things, receive things, perceive things, will really decide how we are opening up to it, or how we're going to allow it in to our own energy and increase or decrease it for us. Now, I happen to be in this right now, the power of decisions. How do we do it, right? I happen to be going through this right now in my own life, specifically in my business, right? I have a lot of new ideas. I have a lot of new things that I'm thinking about. There's a lot of new content that I'm creating. I've been rebranding some things. I've been incorporating these retreats into my business since last October. And I have so many new ideas. And here's what happens. Now I have all these new ideas, and then I have new decisions to make. And when I say making new decisions, what does that mean? Let me move this over. I feel like I can't see stuff. Oh gosh. So think about new decisions. When you're making new decisions, what comes to mind right away when it comes to making a decision? That there's a good decision and that there's a bad decision. Or there's a right way and a wrong way. This will be better. This will be not so good. And when that starts happening, you can get yourself very easily into a spin of confusion, and you start doubting, am I making the right decision? But what if I do this? What will happen? And what could go wrong? And here's what I want to break that down. Let's just distill that a little bit, because when we are stuck in the spinning of the confusion and not deciding, what will happen is you think that you're not making a decision, but the truth is you are deciding to stay in indecision. Are you with me? You are deciding unconsciously to spin yourself in indecision. And when I want to take that right back to our energy level, when we are spinning in indecision, what we are doing is robbing ourselves of moving in a direction. Okay, so you sit in confusion and you don't go one way or the other. There is no, you stay stuck in that land of I don't know. And that is not a good island to be on. Okay. The land of I don't know just robs you of your own intelligence, of your own wisdom. This is where all these layers get piled on top that we're going to be revealing in Mexico. So the power of questions can help you work through making decisions. Okay, let me rephrase that again, or let me just say that again. The power of decisions determines the power of our energy and our positivity, our negativity, whether we're in confidence or we're in doubt. Okay, when we sit in self-doubt, we just spin in confusion and live in the land of I don't know, sucking our own wisdom out of our brain and not moving forward in any direction. Whether it's the right or wrong direction, you won't actually know until you start moving in that direction. If any of you have ever gone to college or you've taken a job, if you've ever tried anything, like I'll just use college as an example, or even any kind of schooling. But if you've ever taken a subject and then realized that this subject is not for you and you changed out of that subject and you decided, oh no, I know now I want to do this subject instead. That is how to do decisions beautifully. And how you do it is by making a decision and then having your own back, going towards it. And then if you then realize, because you have new information, you have new awareness, new content that's coming in that has told you now, hey, maybe we need to shift a little bit to this other decision instead. Fine, but make the decision, because sitting in no decision, it causes what I like to call decision fatigue. Okay, because it's exhausting. Think about, and this has happened to me many times in my life. I know that for me, I was in a marriage for many years, that I had considered divorce many years prior to actually getting divorced. Wasn't because I didn't care about my husband or didn't love him, but I knew that this wasn't where I needed to be in my life. And staying in that marriage wasn't the problem. The problem was I wasn't deciding on staying in the marriage. I kept just living in, should I leave? Should I go? Should I stay? Should I stay? Should I go? Should I leave? What should I do? What should I do? And in that, it was exhausting. It was draining. It took the energy out of me, right? Did you ever feel like, gosh, I'm just so tired all the time? What is that from? Think about your life in different areas of your life and ask yourself a few questions like, where am I not making a decision? What am I confused about? What am I keep thinking about, right? And when you don't make that decision, you're just living in the land of I don't know, decision fatigue, and you are just spinning in confusion. It's exhausting. It's actually something that can cause you physical ailments. So it's so important. And how we can decide one way or another, or even figure out if we need to make a decision, is through the power of questions and asking ourselves some really great questions like, what will happen if I mess this up or don't do it right? Because I think that's one of the main things that are going on in our mind. The thought that's crossing our mind is, what if I screw it up? What if I don't do it right? Now, that is definitely a question. And I want you to hear how powerful this question is. It is a powerful question that keeps you stuck. Questions are powerful one way or the other. I want you to be really clear on this part, because whether you're asking yourself a good question or a bad question, your brain is trying to answer it. So if you're asking yourself a shitty question or one that's just taking you down a path of confusion, you're like, what if I mess this up? You're like, I don't know. What if I don't do it right? Oh, this will be terrible. But then you stay stuck and you don't do anything. Decide. Like, if you think about my example of the marriage and divorce, if you're in that type of situation, or in that same situation for a job, like, should I stay in this job? Should I go try venturing out and doing this new business that I'm really passionate about, but I'm not sure? I want you to not say, I don't know, and just sit with, should I do it? Should I not do it? I want you to tell yourself, I'm going to stay in this job for 6 months and figure out this business during that 6 months and then make the move. Like, make a decision, even if it's a temporary one. Make the decision to stay for a period of time. Make the decision to reevaluate at that time. Make the decision. Ask yourself powerful questions, not like, what if I mess it up and what if it's not the right decision? Because the truth is, life is still going to be 50-50 either way, right? There's going to be pros and cons to staying in the job or the relationship or being out of it, right? Now, if both decisions are going to suck either way half the time, or both decisions are going to be amazing either way half the time, now which one do you want to do? If you could be happy and miserable in the marriage or out of the marriage, which one do you want to be having your life experience in the marriage or out of it? In this job or starting a new business? Because in this job, the pros and cons are, I get paid regularly, but I got to do what somebody else tells me to do. And I got to start and stop when somebody else wants me to. And I have to ask permission if I have to feel sick or take a day off or go away on vacation. Now, if I start a new business, the pros and cons are still there too. Now my business depends on me. I'm the one that's got to find all the work. I only get paid if I get business, but I get to make my own decisions. But I get to start and stop at the time that I want to. I don't have to ask anybody to take a day off, right? Pros and cons to both. Which one do you want to be in? The pros and cons of this or the pros and cons of this? There is the decision, right? If it's going to be happy or sad either way, if it's going to be good and bad, because it's going to be happy and sad. It's going to be good and bad. It's going to be up and down. Now, what's your decision? Okay, that's a very good question. If I could be happy either way, if it's going to suck either way, now what's the decision, right? And then no, if it doesn't work out the way that you exactly wanted it to, or you decide that that's not what you want to do, or you want to decide something else, you just re-decide. Did you guys hear me? That's the reason we don't ever make the decision, is because we feel like we could screw it all up, because we forget. After making a decision, we also get another option, which is redeciding. It's not just like you only get one shot at it. Some things maybe, right? But not everything. Some things you can just redecide again and again and again. I've done it several times in my life with my career. I decided to go to school for criminal justice and psychology. After that, I decided to go to school for a medical assistant. All the hospitals shut down. The jobs weren't available. I decided to go in the aerospace industry. Then I decided to own my own business. So I've redecided my income stream, how I wanted it to come to me. I've redecided what I wanted to do for work every day. I've redecided that over and over. And I found myself to be successful each and every time. And when I didn't want to do it anymore, I just made a new decision. So questions. Why is this important? Here's some really good questions to ask yourself, right? When it comes to making a decision. Why is deciding this or this important? Why is it so important to me? What will change with this decision? What will stay the same? What will be so much better? What will totally suck? Like what are the adjustments I'm going to have to make? How am I going to grow from this decision or this experience or this choice or this next step or this next phase? Because that is a super powerful question. Because if you're like, you're not, actually, it's going to make you worse. Maybe that's something you then decide not to do, right? How are you going to grow? How are you going to evolve into a better version of yourself? How is your brain going to expand? How is your knowledge going to expand? How is this going to improve the relationships in your life? How is this going to improve the relationship with yourself? These are really good questions to ask yourself, right? How can I make it better? And what ... fill in the blank if I don't do it? Okay. Sometimes answering those questions can be a hard look at yourself, your relationship to the thing, to the other person, right? These are reasons why we're like, should we get married? Should we not get married? Should we have another baby? Should we not? There's lots of decisions to be made in the world, in your life, and they can be exhausting and draining. And the other thing that happens when you don't make the decision, the layers get put on you by others around you deciding for you. If you're not really good at deciding for yourself, the rest of the world will decide it for you. That's not a good place to be, because that's just more and more layers to uncover. And so many of us never even attempt removing a single layer. We just stay buried under all of it. Not a good place to be. So here's what I want to offer you guys. Coffee and espresso definitely can increase your energy, not the best way. I know that I'm going to be writing my butt off today because my head is going to explode with so much information and content that's going to be coming out of me. So I'm super excited about that. And this is something I don't do very often, but how I do increase my energy, which I told you I would get to, and I'm going to leave you with this, how I show up every day with super high energy, super great positivity, vibrating at a high level and a high frequency. And what that means to me when people say that to me, the reason why that is such a huge compliment to me is because we affect one another with our level of our energy. And when people tell me they love my energy, it's because my energy affected them, and it will. It always will. Your energy doesn't just affect you. It affects everyone around you too. I'm sure you've noticed if somebody's walked in the room and it just sucked the energy right out of the room, you knew it was just a negative energy coming at you, right? So when people tell me they love my energy, it's because I am increasing their vibrational energy. That's why when people say we vibe together, it's because we're on that same frequency, or I've just increased somebody's frequency, and that's a beautiful thing. So compliment me with that all day long. I love it. But how I do increase my energy every day, or at least show up at the best version of myself, is, first of all, I am intentional with my routine. I get up at the same time every day. I have the same routine. I get ready, but I get up in the morning, brush my teeth, get my coffee on, put my diffuser on. I sit right back down and meditate. Y'all know this. If you know me, this is the drug that I push every single day. Get up, meditate. Then Move your body. I exercise every single morning. I move my body in a way that gets me physically aroused for the day, right? It gets me mobile, agile, limbered up to go work throughout the day, right? That increases my energy level. My food is prepared. Okay. I know what I'm going to eat. I'm not running through a drive-through. All right. And I also dump my brain onto a piece of paper every single day. When you know what you're thinking about, this goes right back to the questions, decisions, they all come from your thoughts. And if you don't know what you're thinking, it is the biggest disservice you are doing to yourself if you don't know what's going on in here, because what goes on in here is what goes on everywhere. That's what I'm going to leave you guys with. Happy Wednesday. Love you guys so much. And I can't wait to see you next week. And we're going to talk a little bit, I think, next week about the retreat, because I'm super excited what I'm going to be doing on this retreat and whether y'all are coming with me or not. I want you guys to get some takeaways and maybe go do this for yourselves. And I will see you next week. Mwah. Adios, amigos. I love you. Thank you for listening to Unpacking Brain Drama podcast. You'll find links for all the things mentioned below in the show notes. And it would be incredibly awesome if you would take a quick moment to leave a review on iTunes or wherever you listen. If you'd like to be considered as a guest on our podcast, be sure to go to www.resultsbydesigncoaching.com for a free 30-minute coaching session. Thanks so much, guys. See you next time.